Hello! It's been a long time since I've done a garden tour, so let's remedy that and show you what's growing. So, first off, I have peas this year. I didn't get any fall peas last year because I planted them way too late, so I figured it out and fixed it. I have sweet peas on this side, and I have shelling peas on this side, and they're actually starting to come in, which is pretty exciting. You can kind of see them here. I'm gonna wait till these are nice and full and plump with peas before I pick them, whereas these ones I pick, when the shell's a little rounded out but not full. Cucumbers and melons are done. We got some pretty good harvest out of them, but they got tackled by downy mildew because we had so much rain in the midsummer of this year. But the melons, we still got a lot of them. They weren't quite as sweet as I would have liked because of the downy mildew, but next year we'll remedy that. And we just ate the last one of them yesterday, and we've moved on to watermelon, which I'll show you in a second. So I pulled everything and I mulched it. I left the marigolds because they're pretty, and we're done here. Tomatoes. These have been a disappointment this year. I think I mentioned in my last video, or maybe somewhere online, that I got blight this year because of, again, all the rain. I probably didn't mulch enough or trim the bottoms quickly enough because blight spreads up from the ground when it's really wet. But you can see all these brown leaves in here, just tons of them. That's blight. Blight just killed the leaves. And what it also does is make the fruits not come in very well. They're not as sort of sweet and tasty. They rot really fast. And you're not supposed to can them, I've read, because blight can mess up their acid content, and so they're not safe to can, which sucks. So we really didn't get as much of tomato harvest as we would normally. And next year I'm going to try really hard to avoid that. I would say this black cherry tomato that I grew for the first time this year is one of the successes. It doesn't seem quite as affected by the blight. We've still gotten a pretty good harvest from it, and they taste really, really good. So I'll be growing those again next year. But otherwise, I'm going to be doing basically everything different next year for tomatoes. Different trellising system, different growing system. Really working on making sure I don't get blight. Cauliflower, doing pretty good, but you'll notice that some of them are really ravaged by cabbage moth worms, or caterpillars. They call them worms. I don't really know why. They're just caterpillars. You can see in here. Luckily, I've remedied this, so I have a very good solution for this. It's spraying BT. Here's one of the little culprits right here, probably dead. BT is a natural bacteria. It's in all soil. It's just in a slightly more concentrated form in the spray, and caterpillars ingest it and then it kills them. It's very safe. It's probably like the safest thing you can spray. Like I said, organic. But so why didn't I spray this? Well, it turns out that the caterpillars really took off right around the time our floors were getting done. And it takes about a week where you can't go in the house at all because they put a coat of stuff on your floors. Then it has to dry for 24 hours and no one can walk in there. And that's where my BT was. So I just slowly watched the caterpillars ravage my cauliflower while my floors were done. And just in the last few days, I was able to spray for them. So we'll see what's happening. There are some heads forming up in here, but I'm curious to see how it will go with all of that damage. But if it's like last year, hopefully they'll come back and everything will be okay. Asparagus is just fronding and doing its thing. Nothing too exciting or different there. I've pulled all the onions and they're cured and in my basement, and I've replaced them with 2 rows of radishes, which are coming in just in great. You can see they're plumping up. These are French breakfast, and then those ones are a different variety. I forget the name. That's supposed to be large and green, and I haven't had good luck with large radishes before, and these don't look amazing either, so we'll see how they go. The watermelon, fantastic this year. I've actually harvested all 3 of the biggest ones already, and they all tasted great, but we still have a few nice big ones here to take. Looking good. So this is my red variety. Man, I'm totally blanking on the names of them now. They're both heirloom types. This is a red variety, and this one actually has yellow flesh, and it's really, really good. Nice and sweet. Lovely. This was all beets. I pulled and canned most of those. Let's see. We have a row of turnips and rutabaga for the fall garden. The rutabaga is looking enormous already. You can see their tops are coming right in. The turnips are a little slower. We'll see how they evolve. Carrots, 2 rows of fall carrots there. So both of these are I will leave these in the ground probably until January, and if there's any left at that point when the ground just becomes like a rock, then I'll pull them. But if you cover them with a nice layer of straw, when it starts freezing pretty good, they'll stay just fine in the ground until the ground really freezes solid. And so you have a lot of food that you can just slowly eat during the colder months when other things stop producing, which is pretty cool. Let's see. We have cabbages. You can see I've taken all of them, actually, except for my purples, to make sauerkraut out of. I have 4 liters of sauerkraut fermenting in my father-in-law's basement. That's where I'm still living while our renovation's going on. And I'm going to use the purples probably in coleslaws and things like that. Let's see, peppers. We've gotten a ton of good harvests out of here. In fact, I don't actually have very many peppers on there to show you because we've snipped so many of late. These ones are my orange peppers. You can see a bunch of them in there. These ones just haven't ripened up yet. So I'm sort of waiting to take more until we get a little bit more ripening. But they've been beautiful. They've done wonderfully. I've been super happy with them. Here's a few poblanos, just getting a little bit bigger. Probably grew almost too many hot peppers this year because we didn't need all of them. So I might grow a few fewer of those next year. Let's see here. These are collard greens, just going nuts. They look really great, except for they do seem pretty pest prone, like most brassicas. So I don't really know what to do about that. We ate them several times this summer, but we had to really be careful about aphids on them because they're so pest prone. So that's like the difficulty there with those. But other than that, I mean, they're super easy, taste great. Make a nice pot with a smoked ham hock. Okay, what else do we have? This is celery, still going strong. Hasn't started flowering just yet. We haven't taken as much of it as I'd like just because, I don't know, life's crazy and haven't been planning my cooking as well as I normally do. But I'll probably grow half as much as I did this year because we just have way too much of it. We never venture into the fruit garden on these videos, so let's do it. I have weeded out and snipped back the strawberries. You can hardly tell. I snipped back all the runners along the edges, and they're already sending out a ton of new runners because they're just really, really vigorous. And I'm not really sure what to do about that because I'm a first-time strawberry grower. If I just let them go, I'm guessing that's what I'll do because of timing reasons this year. We'll see how it goes, but they're super lush. If you remember in the spring when I planted them, it was just like one plant in little like tiny dots along this wide row, and now they're just bushy and crazy, which is fun. This is a sweet potato. Look at that, y'all. Just one sweet potato plant. All of these same leaves just everywhere that you see. Coming out of the center hole there that I planted one slip there when the grape that was there died because of the late spring frost we got. The rest of the grapes really bounced back. Remember, I was really worried. I feel much more confident now that they'll make it through the winter. So this is like, it's, a grape arm, which is really nice. And you can see it's just got 2 of them. This is a white himrod grape. And this is a red Candidus grape. I should get back in here and weed. I'm thinking to myself as I'm showing you. But you can see it's gone all the way up into the asparagus. So if it makes it through the winter just fine, I'll be putting in really big, heavy grape trellises here. Next summer or spring. Grapes are extremely vigorous, heavy growers with heavy arms, heavy foliage, so they need really serious trellises to hold them up as they get bigger. But the first year it's not as big of a deal because they're just little teeny plants. Raspberries. Raspberries are looking really good. You can kind of now see the 3 different varieties that I have pretty easily. So there's this variety, see all the tall stalks coming up? Let me sneak around my sweet potato that's going nuts right here. Ugh. And then this is my second variety. This one's a red one. This one's a red one down. You can see them all low, kind of. And then this one's my golden raspberry variety. It's called Anne. I forget the names of the other 2 right now, so I'm just going to not say them or try. This one, the golden one, interestingly, was most hit by Japanese beetles and by fire blight this summer. So I'm curious to see how it survives. The other ones didn't seem to have very much of either of those problems. So if it doesn't do well, we'll pull them out and put a red variety here. I've heard they were more delicate, but I thought, I don't know. I like trying to grow things. We'll see how it goes. Another tub of sweet potatoes. We'll be pulling those very soon. We are very close to first frost. It should be occurring. Actually, last year at this time, we had already had our first frost. This year it's much warmer, so we'll see how it goes, but it's going to be probably in the next few weeks here. I would not be surprised, and a lot of this will just die when that happens. Anyway, Brussels sprouts, they had the same problem with the cabbage moths as the cauliflower did and all the other brassicas, but they are sprayed now, and they should be, you can kind of see this little dead guy here. I think my spraying got the trick done. So they should be doing good. Some of them are leafing up quite a bit. This is where the sprouts would appear, but you can see they're very leafy. And some of them are little nodules. And we'll see how it goes. Again, you don't harvest these, until real late in the season. Like, I think October, November when I took most of my Brussels sprouts last year. So we'll see how they progress. Leeks, I shouldn't have planted them so close to the damn Brussels sprouts, and I should have planted more of them because you can see their territory has been very much taken over. But my current plan actually is, once the frosts really start hitting hard, is to take this whole bed that you're looking at here and cover it with a frost cover with the hoops that I have, and see how long I can keep things coming in. Because we have, like, for example, Swiss chard is relatively hardy, Brussels sprouts are extremely hardy, the leeks are very, very hardy, and this is kale, also extremely hardy. And I'm wondering just how long into the winter, potentially over the winter, I can get this stuff to stay alive if I cover it. So we'll see. This is more beets. We love beets, and so I just went nuts and said, screw it, I'm planting a ton of beets. This is a 3-foot by 4-foot bed of beets, and they are growing really vigorously and well. You can kind of see in here the taps coming for all of them. The golden ones may be a little bit smaller, but still really beautiful. I love beets. They're so pretty. They taste so good. They're so easy to grow compared to a lot of other things like cucumbers. So interestingly enough, you can see how so for example, this is like a cucumber plant coming out of the ground. You can see that, like, it's just dead all along here. And that was all the downy mildew's work early in the summer. And now it still had, but the downy mildew has subsided because it stopped raining so much. And now we have little pockets of leaves that have survived. And they're trying to produce more cucumbers, or at least more growth. And it's kind of cool to see. You can see, like, this blossom here will produce a cucumber if it has time. We'll see. It will be absolutely annihilated by the frost when it comes. So I'm kind of just letting it go. I haven't cleaned this bed up yet, just to, like, give it a chance to do whatever it's going to do. The broccoli is an utter failure this year. I've gotten a little bit of good broccoli, but mostly I've just not been here enough. And so you can see all these flower stalks here. It's just totally gone to seed. I've had a little hard time with broccoli keeping it not going to seed. The most I get is, like, these little heads here, which, it tastes good, but, it's not much. So if anybody has any good broccoli growing tips that's watching this, I'd love to hear them. Let's see. Dill, doing good, but a little late, so I don't have much to do with it, but it smells amazing. Basil, parsley. I've got 2 types of parsley over here that finally kind of are taking off. Got a little curly parsley and flat leaf. Another sweet potato plant just going crazy over here. These are my summer squash, and they're still doing pretty well. You can see this is a zephyr squash on the way. Summer squash are amazing. They just keep producing all season. They make a ton. These are crooknecks. They taste really good. My favorite way to make these, you saute some onions up real long and slow with some peppers, and you let these guys just get real caramely. Like, I'll put them all in the pan for a while, and it just tastes like, it's a little bit like ratatouille. Very good. This is the carrot bed. It's a little weedy. I didn't thin it very well, but we've had enough carrots out of here to get what we need, so that's just fine. Here's my other celery that's still way too much. Ooh, mosquitoes. There's still mosquitoes about. And finally, the bean tunnel. Still being a big, beautiful bean tunnel. And it's actually, I'm really impressed with these beans. They've been flowering, you can see, even well into the, late summer season, and producing beans for us. We have so many beans to eat, and they taste so good. I really, really love beans. They're so fun to grow. They're beautiful. They don't take a lot of work, and they just give you an abundance of food, which is just really cool. And my dry beans, I think I can pretty much harvest them anytime, and it's been dry enough lately that I think I may do that pretty soon. Maybe this weekend. We'll see. So you can see how, for example, like, here's an example. Here is just a regular bean growing in, looking normal, like you might pull that and eat it. But if you let it grow, they'll get bigger like this, and start to flesh out. You see those little lumps in there. Those are the beans forming. And then if you leave them for a long time, eventually they'll turn into this, where they just get real dry, and in there are some really dry, hard beans, like the kinds you make soups out of. And that's what all of these are, just full of those pods. So I'll go through here and I'll snip them, and there's different techniques to to gosh, what's the word? Forget it. Where you remove the seed from the chaff or whatever. That's the term for wheat. I'll do that. And they should look really nice. And they should taste great. And we're really excited about it. I'm really excited about it. Curtis doesn't like beans as much as me, so maybe I'm the most excited about it. Anywho, again, this video is getting long, of course. They always do for me. This is Thai basil. This is the lettuce bed. I've replanted it for the fall, and it's coming in just nicely. We have a couple rows of lettuce. There'll probably be more than we can eat. And that is it. So there you go. Mid-September garden tour. It's going to look very different in here, I suspect, in a couple weeks when the frost comes and annihilates a lot of this stuff. So I'm just trying to take it in and enjoy it as I can right now before that happens. So thanks for watching as always, and I'd love to hear how your garden's growing if you are a gardener, or any thoughts you have either way. Thanks, y'all.